Okay, this meeting is being recorded. I just started the recording, and we're going to post it to our YouTube channel as soon as we're done. Got another person coming in. Okay. So good morning, everyone. It's starting to get cold. We're plugging in all of our buses and checking block heaters. We've been checking them for the last couple months here, getting ready for the season. So we should be good. We've been changing a lot of block heaters, testing our batteries. I'm sure all of you guys are doing the same thing. Definitely going to save us when the weather turns here. Oh, I gotta admit. Okay. Our last meeting was held on October 18th. Roger Harrod with Matthews Bus Sales presented on the Thomas electric bus and the changes that have been made since the previous year. And all the electric buses have changed in just a short course of time. He said that there's a blue inlay on the new electric buses that another person to admit that indicates that the bus is an electric bus. Proterra is the electric provider for them. He had 9 buses sold at our last meeting. I just spoke from just a minute ago, and anybody who was listening, they were up over 20 now. They use a 2-speed transmission, which that's different than the other manufacturers. E-Power, Meritor E-Power is a program that they use. They have they went from a 400 volt system to an 800 volt system. They have a little charge button that has to be pressed to release the charger connection. So that was one of the things that we were all talking about before, is if somebody could accidentally drive away with the plug and damage an expensive charger, and that cannot happen. There's a little red light on the charge plug that would indicate that that there's a problem with the charging. Variable frequency drive converts DC to AC power for AC charging. One of the other things that was kind of interesting here is that the heater consumes 20 kilowatts of power. So that's quite a bit of power that the heat consumes. So that's something that when we are looking at these electric buses, that's going to cut down on your drivability times severely. So something.
Hey, Dan, did they say?
Yes.
Did they say like over what period of time? Is it an hour of driving, 5 hours of driving, that it consumes at 20 kilowatts?
Roger.
When you're using the heaters at full blast, and they are variable, you can turn them up or down, they will consume up to 20 kilowatts of energy. Now, that's one of the things we go through with our driver, our initial descriptions. And this is no different than any of the buses. All these buses are going to have around a 20 kilowatt heater necessary to heat the inside of the bus. And driver training is key here. Drivers have to understand that when they have enough heat, the example I use there is don't turn the fans down. The fans don't take any power. You turn down the heat. And that's something that you could not do on a diesel or a gas unit. You only get what heat comes from the engine block. With an electric system, the driver is in control of how much he's consuming or she's consuming on the heat system. And it's very important that drivers understand when you've got enough heat, turn it down. Now, another comment here. In Alaska, they're having no problem with this, with our buses. The difference in Alaska is they're only required to maintain 45 degrees inside the bus. Now, again, we got kids getting on the buses here in shorts in the middle of January, and they're, well, I'm cold. Well, then wear some clothes. That really is a nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely valuable information. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that if you want to heat the inside of your bus while it's charging, because that was a benefit of an electric bus, you need to let them know when you order your bus that you're going to plan to do that, because it's an added on feature and it's a different charger. So when you do order your buses, and if you're thinking that you'll get an advantage because you'll be able to leave the bus plugged in and the driver will get out there and it'll be nice and warm, that's true. But in order to do that, you have to order your bus with that option. I don't know if it can be added afterward. But there's steel plates have been added also for the protection of the battery, because the batteries, we want them to last absolutely as long as we can. And that will definitely protect them. The park brake on the Thomas bus will apply after 30 seconds of sitting idle. Parking brake will come on. After 8% battery power, when battery drops down to 8%, it's going to go into a limp mode. The air compressor has a 6-month interval for the filter, 12-month interval for a coolant system. So once a year, uses a 50-50 premix. No tap water. It's too corrosive. And it must be vacuum filled. Their batteries have an 8-year warranty. And again, I think if you're backfeeding National Grid's lines, I think that will void the warranty. Maybe
Dan, the
that true?
situation there is all the battery warranties are based on the number of charge cycles.
Okay.
When you're using vehicle to grid and actually taking power off and selling it back, that's another charge cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of your normal, maybe twice a day going to a charge cycle on your batteries, you could be doing it 4, 5, 6 times, and it will affect the warranty on the battery on any of these.
Okay. Yeah, I think the other manufacturer said this about the same thing with the warranty. And the other thing that's neat is there's a desiccant pack in the batteries that needs to be replaced. So those are a bunch of points that he hit on at our last meeting. I'm sure things will change again as we move forward. Today's presenter will be Karam with Shenendehowa Central School District. He gave a really good presentation last year on the operating costs of an electric bus or an electric fleet, things that we all need to be looking for before we make the big investment. And he's going to follow up on that here today because he's been doing an awful lot of research. So go ahead, Al.
All right, thanks, Dan. Yeah, I'm going to really talk more about the challenges of what we're facing here at Shen as we start to ramping up this electric vehicle conversion. So you folks will have really a good understanding of some of the headwinds that you got to face. Buying the bus is the least of really of the issues that we're facing. And I'll talk more about that. So let me present here. Window. Can you all see the presentation? Dan, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So this is really an update on where we are. We had ordered 4 electric buses from Leonard, 315 kilowatt batteries. I opted to go with the higher end batteries for different reasons, but certainly one of them, as the bus gets older and the battery degrades, I want that degraded battery in 8, 9, 10 years to still have, some charge that would still service most of our routes. And we also ordered 2 60 kilowatt chargers that can be manipulated 30-30 on either side. Each one can charge 2 buses. And so as you know, you can't order buses not unless you have the infrastructure ready to receive those buses. And we were initially, after the May vote, and as we worked up the construction plans, we were assured that the 2 chargers will be in by late September, mid-October, the latest. And the way that it was going to be done, we already had a contract in place, construction contract, and the district engineers were simply going to submit a change order on that contract to also include the installation of the 2 chargers. So weeks went by, and sometime in September, October timeframe, early October, we learned that the SED had disapproved the change order. They would not allow it. Whatever their reasons are, I don't know. That was not shared with me. And so what they wanted was for the district to go back to the drawing board and resubmit the installation of those 2 chargers as new construction. So what we had to do is turn off the purchase of those 4 electric buses, because I didn't want them to get built, delivered, and then they just sit here. To me, that's politically untenable, and it's just stupid and ignorant to do something like that. So we turned it off until we could figure a way around this problem with SED. So what we've come up with is we're in the process right now. We're going to put out a bid for 2 50 kilowatt chargers for the shop. These are portable, as you can see. They will look exactly like this picture here. It's a single charge point. It has a 10-foot cable and another 10-foot for the plug. So in order to do this, we had to also do a contract to install some wiring, to install 480 volt, 2 480 volt receptacles to handle these 2 chargers. And the idea is,
Hey, Al.
yeah,
Sorry to interrupt, but all I'm seeing on the screen back here in the shop is like your first screen and 3 other little screens on the side.
I asked if you could see the, hold on a second. Let's try that again. We'll try it again, George. Take it easy, George. Can you see it now, George?
Perfect.
You're the man.
I knew I could count on you, Al.
All right, I'll buy you ice cream later. All right, so thanks for screwing me up. Anyway, so right now we're in the middle of trying to get the contractor in to wire up these receptacles, and we have a bid going out to hopefully we'll end up with the Heliox 50 kilowatt. Why do I want the Heliox? It's because I know that the software to run these portable chargers has already been approved by IC. And this is key, folks. When you are buying electric buses and chargers, you want to make sure that the software have been vetted by the bus people and vice versa. Because if you don't, they may initially work, but when you start having computer problems, because that's what it's going to be, the bus is computerized, the chargers are computerized, and I'm talking whether it's the portable chargers or the chargers you're actually going to hard install on your facility. They gotta talk to each other. They have to be vetted. If not, when you start having problems, this is what's going to happen, right? You're going to have the bus company pointing fingers at the chargers, the company who makes chargers, and vice versa. And you're going to be caught in the middle with a lot of expensive equipment. So we believe that we will end up with these Heliox, and that's going to be our temporary fix for the 4 buses that are now in the process of being built. We're looking at about 7 months before we get them. And hopefully by that time, the 2 60 kilowatt chargers would have been approved by SCD, and the construction is done, and we get them installed outside. By the way, these portables, you can run them outside, but you don't want them out in the rain, snow, and that kind of a thing. So they do have the limitation, but we will need them in the shop for the future anyway. So that's why we're buying them. And you can see the cost at $36,000. They're not cheap either. So just a kind of a recap here. Again, these are the headwinds that I talked about. Our current electrical power that's coming into the campus is 2 megawatts. The 4 buses that we ordered, they're going to tap out whatever power that's remaining, whatever kilowatts are remaining. We're not really quite at 2 megawatts. I believe we're like at 1.8 something, whatever. But once we get the 2 chargers in, that's it. We cannot buy any more electric buses because everything goes back to power. Does your facility have the power to convert, to handle a fleet conversion and go all electric? Everybody's not paying attention to that. They're paying attention to the onesie, twosies, threesies kind of a thing. But you're going to hit that wall. If you have a fleet of 20, 30, 40 buses, a couple of hundred buses like we do. So for us, we cannot buy any more electric buses besides the 4 that we've already ordered until we improve the power capacity. In talking with National Grid, they can provide additional power for 84 more buses, but that's going to cost around $3 million to bring in one wire in to give us another around 2 megawatts of power, 2.5 megawatts of power. And long term, again, I got a fleet of 217 buses here. It's going to require a substation to be built on the Shen campus. And that's a cost between 20 to 28 million in today's dollars. We're talking, this will probably, if it happens at all, it'll happen several years down the road, which, by the way, is going to disrupt our transition to electric buses. Again, no power, no buses. 2027 is going to come around, and it's around the corner. These plans, they take time to draw up. They take time for SCD approval. They take time for, bond to be approved by the Board of Education, by the voters. So my fear is 2027, when we can no longer buy internal combustion engines, that we won't be able to buy any buses whatsoever until we have more power coming into to the campus. And that's if National Grid can provide that kind of power. When you're talking 9 to 13 megawatts, that's a lot of freaking power. I don't know where they're going to get it from. Damn sure ain't getting it from the sun or solar panels, that I can tell you. Recently, I was at the NAPT conference in Columbus, Ohio, and I attended a workshop on electric buses, performance data, lessons from the field. And please don't take my comment as disrespect to anybody, be it vendors, be it transportation directors. I'm just going to share what I heard and what I know. So I can tell you, for every positive comments about the deployment of these buses and their chargers, I heard 2 or 3 negative comments. Charger downtime. We finally got the panelists who are, quote, experts in the field. They're researchers for green power and all that. They finally admitted, yes, the chargers have problems. And they said they could be down for up to 2 days. And, if your vendor is good, they can be on site in 2 days to fix them. One of my colleagues from a different state stood up and said, oh, yeah, we love our buses. They're quiet. Drivers love them. Kids love them because they're so quiet. And, yeah, it's no big deal if the charger is down 2 days because, and this is her fix, and I need you to think about this as how it would apply here in New York State by 2035. Her fix is, well, we just throw an internal combustion engine on that route while we're waiting on that charger to be fixed. You're not going to have that luxury, my friends. You will not have that luxury come 2035. If the charger ecosystem does not get better from a technical perspective, from a quality perspective, when, you know, I'm talking 100% up all the time, which isn't going to happen, you got to have some other plans. Do you buy extra chargers? Do you buy those portable chargers like I just showed you? And again, they're not cheap. Do you buy more electric buses than you currently need in terms of bus numbers to meet your operational needs? Those are kind of things that your business official, your superintendent need to talk about constantly. The playing field is going to change, and it's going to change pretty damn quick. And you got to be up on top of that. So we will not have the luxury by 2035 to throw an internal combustion engine type bus to gap when these chargers are down. And every study I've looked at suggests that, as a matter of fact, the federal government just came out with their own study about a month or so ago, where they said the federal government, working with the private industry, has to do a better job ensuring the uptime of chargers that are along our highways and byways. So here's the thing, right? You got a lot of people out there that have a lot of solutions. They're trying to sell you solutions, right? I love that word. You know, everybody's got a solution to your transition problem, to your bus fleet, all that. I don't buy into that. I buy into common sense in what is operationally feasible for me. I know a lot of solutions that did not turn out to be solutions. So what I will impress upon you is that you really have to question. You got to question everything. Don't take what you're being told at face value. Read. The internet has a plethora of information out there, and you just got to make sure that where you're getting it from, it's not from one side or the other, but from what I call disinterested parties, third parties who don't have a dog in the hunt. And again, no disrespect to my friends on bus side or other vendors, whatever. You know, they're in the business to make money, and if I was in their shoes, I'd be doing the same thing. I want to sell you what I got to sell. And that's what life is all about. It's our job to muddle through all that and make sure we're making decisions based on, good data, on good analysis, on having asked questions, and verifying those answers. One of the things that scares me out there, there are vendors out there that will come in and tell you, look, we'll lease you the buses, we'll lease you the charging infrastructure. You don't have to do anything about it. You just pay us the money. We'll even go further and pay your electric bill, and you kind of reimburse us whatever as part of the deal. That kind of a situation, what you're really doing is, especially if you own your own fleet, is you're going to divest from your own fleet, and somebody else is going to come in and lease you their own fleet. Well, what happens when there's a contract dispute? What happens if that company goes belly up? There's a lot of questions you got to ask. Should you go down that road? For me, that's not something that I would want to do. Let me quickly talk about the vehicle to grid, the pros and cons of that. There's a lot of promise out there of, quote, monetary return to the electric vehicle customer from the grid operator. And it was already mentioned, Roger talked about it. There could be a warranty or avoidance because you are cycling that battery a whole lot more than if you were just to charge it overnight and use it during the day, whatever the case might be. So in essence, there'll be too many cycles of charge discharge. You're not going to get that 8-year warranty out of that battery because, as Roger said, it's all based on the charge cycle. And I can tell you this, the vehicle manufacturer doesn't want to end up eating the cost of that battery, especially if you're using it for something else than what it was really designed for, and that's to propel that bus, picking up and discharging students. I can tell you that vehicle to grid is still a very, very new technology. It does have potential to ease demand on the grid, but there are a lot of pitfalls still associated with this technology for you, the vehicle owners. And yes, you're going to require a different charging station. You're going to need a bi-directional charging station, which is in itself a little bit more expensive as well. I thought I'd share this with you. There's a link on here. You can read the story, but the New York Department of Sanitation, they purchased several Mack trucks for street cleaning, garbage removal, and they decided that they would outfit one of these trucks with a plow. By the way, these are electric trucks that they bought. Their experiment was not successful. That truck lasted 2 hours plowing when they actually needed, for about 12 hours worth of plowing, which is their average plow time. So, and the Macks, even doing all the nice, easy driving kind of stuff, the max they can get out of that battery was 3 hours. So that's part of our future that we're facing with these electric vehicles. Is there a place for them in school transportation? Sure there is. Are they the entire answer? And I'm going to tell you right now, and I don't give a damn who gets pissed off at me, in the business, outside the business, politician, the answer is not no, but hell no. However, that's the way our state government is pushing us, is to go 100%. And I really feel sorry for my colleagues in the future trying to meet their daily missions with these things. And that concludes my presentations. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Daniel, anything?
Well, I saw on the one slide with the charger. So the charger is 36,000, but then there was a wire up fee that is also going to be added to that, correct?
Yes. For us, just to run about 300 feet of wire and, the conduits and on the panel side and on the plug side in the shop, for us, it's about 17,000. Just for those two outlets and wire.
Right. So that definitely adds to the 36,000
Oh yeah.
price there. Yep. So it's definitely a expensive endeavor.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions for Al?
Is there any word from the insurance companies about charging buses in the shop? Do they frown on that or not yet?
Yeah, I have not heard, George, about whether we can charge inside or outside. I know there's concern about buses being parked close to each other. Matter of fact, at the national conference, a colleague out of Arizona, their insurance company made them park the electric buses 8 feet apart. I spoke with our risk manager for our insurance company. If there's any talk about that here in the state of New York, that conversation is going to happen in the state of New York. So I want you to think about that too. Do you all have enough space to expand parking 8 feet apart? Should that concept take hold nationally, and insurance companies to mitigate risk and minimize it, that they'll start pushing for that. All these are valid questions you have to ask as you're dipping your toes into the electric water, if you will. So I can tell you the insurance cost, I got that from our insurance company, will probably go up between 10 to 13% on each bus. So there is more, and the reason for that is once an electric bus is involved in an accident, many insurance companies don't want to mess with repairs. They're just going to total the bus and move on for a lot of different reasons. Other questions? All right, Dan. I think folks know how to get a hold of me should they have questions in the
Hey,
future.
I got one more. Did you ever get any real numbers on the total cost of investment at that conference you were at, or did anybody have any real numbers comparing the electric to the diesel?
Yeah, good, great question, George, and I'm glad you brought that up. I did fail to mention that. So, in a standing room only, and I told you for every positive comment, there was at least 2 to 3 negative comments on these electric buses, and there were a couple of different folks from different states, I forgot where, who do have a bunch of electric buses, and they said they saw their TCO actually go up, whereas the colleague, and I think she's from either Massachusetts or whatever, who is for the electric buses, she said, "Oh no, theirs went down." So I think if you're for these buses, you're going to see your TCO go down. Maybe it's a mental thing. I don't know. If you're against them, you're going to see your TCO go up. They didn't really share hard numbers. But again, when you see a lot of head nod in the room of people who, have a handful of electric buses, that's what I believe. I believe that TCO will go up. There was a recent study that was done out of Texas by a third party who said if you take out all the subsidies, right, remove all the subsidies from the purchase of the bus, the charging system, the infrastructure, you name it, whatever, the cost is $17.36 per equivalent MPG, whatever, however the heck they put it. I can share that article with you guys. I'll have Dan send that link out. So, the people who said, no, the TCO is down, are the people who like them for being quiet and they're great for the environment. And I'm sorry to say, but excuse me, 2 vendors in the room were upbeat on them. Well, if I was a vendor, I'd be upbeat too, because I need to sell and I need to make money. And the government is pushing my company to sell and make, and then that's what we got to do. We got to sell and make money. So for me, it's about operations. It's at the end of the day, it's about operations. And I think in the last head mechanic meeting that I was a part of, I think somebody said, or maybe here in the shop, somebody was talking to one of the bus manufacturers that said that the thermal management system, which the cooling system around the batteries, if that system, any part of it shits the bed, you're looking at a $40,000 fix. Well, how many buses can you do PMs on, oil changes, filters, that sort of thing, for 40,000, right? How much is that? And right now we're dealing with new buses that are still under warranty. I'd like to have this question really answered when buses are off warranty. And then we should have a discussion about it. What is the real TCO on these things? Another area of concern that was brought up, there are, excuse me, I got something in my throat. There are bus operators that are going through 2 to 3 times entire usage than we do with diesel or gas powered buses. And I get that, it's about driver training, this, that, or the other. But hey, I got 200 drivers here. There's no way I'm going to get 200 drivers to drive the same each and every day. It's not going to happen. So those are things you got to think about, ask questions about, and be prepared for.
May I ask him? Hey, Al,
Yeah.
question. When you're talking about in reference to the insurance and stuff going up, were you talking for the, like if we were to get one electric bus, our insurance on our combustible buses, they would be going up because of that bus being in there with them?
No,
Just electric.
just on your electric bus, what it will cost you to insure that thing.
Okay.
Just like if you go buy go buy Tesla now, you're going to pay on average about 13% higher insurance rates. And everything you read on that, it's because insurance companies don't want to fix them for a lot of reasons. And one of them has to do with, unforeseen damage to the batteries, whatever, that may cause catastrophic issues down the road if they were to fix them.
And the PCL and stuff, what's that in reference to, Al? We're kind of clueless there.
The TCO, that's the total cost of ownership.
Ownership, okay.
Yep.
Hey, Al, has there been any pushback from the superintendents or the business officials in New York State to the governor's office on this?
Yeah, great question, Ken. Last I heard, I believe the School Board Association just had their meeting maybe 2 weeks ago or so out in Buffalo somewhere. And my understanding is they're drafting, they haven't done it, they're drafting a position paper that not necessarily say that, hey, we don't want to do this, but to kind of like try to slow down this process and maybe rethink it. You have a lot of different entities out there that are pushing, and they're certainly pushing the governor a whole lot more powerful and deeper pockets than the superintendents and the business officials. I can tell you that there's enough people in administration that really don't want to go down this road because of the cost. Where are we going to get $28 million to put a substation? That's just for the substation. There's all kinds of other costs associated with that. That includes, digging up and, your facility, re-blacktopping, conduits, wiring, internet connectivity. For us, we're looking probably at a $50 million price tag by the time we're done electrifying this compound and this campus. In my last presentation to you all, I talked about it's just not the need. It's just not the electrical need for the buses. So if you look at Shen, if you're familiar with Shen, all of our schools are on a campus, right? It's like a college campus. There's 4 elementaries that are off campus. So all these buildings require power. The 2 megawatts coming in right now is just not for the shop here. It's also for all the buildings on the campus. Part of the deal that we got to also think about down the road, okay, so if we're looking at 100% electric fleet, what does that mean in, power consumption? We're looking at about 9 megawatts of power just for the fleet, right? And then you need to look at the building consumption. And if you're keeping up on what the state government is doing, they want to get away from natural gas fired boiler systems in these big buildings. So we have 5 buildings right now that will be due for boiler replacements that are gas fired in the next 5 years. That's a lot of power consumption. And that's why for us, we're going to end up needing about 13 megawatts of power. Again, I don't know if National Grid can supply that. So yes, the superintendents, the boards, there is some pushback. I just haven't seen any final articulation of what that pushback might look like. I know NAPT is working on their policy statement to kind of talk about electric buses as well on a national level. Yeah, a lot of things still coming down the pike.
Thank you, sir. Good answers.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Hey, Al, just an FYI, I can't give you a total cost of ownership or miles per gallon because I can't get answers on our on how much electricity we're using in the building. Nobody will tell me that, so I can't do mileage. But on the maintenance side, I can tell you our maintenance has gone up on these buses. And it's a huge learning curve. I know they're new technology, and I pretty much lost half a mechanic just dealing with these buses every day. So I'm down half a mechanic just dealing with that when he's supposed to be doing his other work, and then other issues. Comparing the 5 buses we have to the 5 newest diesel buses we have, maintenance-wise, it's higher. That's just in the first year, so we'll see if it levels out or as things change and the technology changes, it gets better. But as far as like I said, cost of electricity, I have no idea because I can't get an answer on that.
John, I appreciate your honesty on that. Thank you so much.
And I'm neither here or there. I really don't care if you want electric, gas, diesel. It doesn't bother me what you drive. You know, I'm just, these are numbers.
Yeah, no, and that's what we need to hear. And that's what we need to know to plan for the future. It's not about being for or against. It's for us to plan. You know, me as a director, that's what I deal with. You know, the budget, I got to set this place up for success into the future, not about the here and now. I'm not against electric anything. I think they have electric vehicles do have a place, but I do know computers. I know computers shit the bed constantly. I know software. I know computers after 5 years, the software doesn't keep up with, and the architecture of that computer can't keep up with the software. You got to change them. And that's what we're looking at. It's not about just the buses, folks. Think about 10, 12, if you're still around years down the road, when you have to go out there and all the chargers you just bought, when they hit 8 years old, which is about the average lifespan, you got to change them. And are they going to be backwards looking? When I say backwards looking, so the new chargers, are they going to be, retrofitted to work on older buses? I mean, those are real problems, right? I think in John Hazelton's case, I believe his chargers can only work on the buses that he has now. They can't work on the next generation that's coming out. Am I correct, John?
I believe so, because they're in the middle of construction right now of running a grid off the street. We are putting our own power station down to the parking lot. So we're going to have the newer chargers down there. The older ones on the building, because we maxed our building electricity out, will just be for like the maintenance or to park close to the building for vehicles that are down.
Right.
So as we go forward, they'll be down a lot farther.
Al, they did say at the electric bus meeting at Bethlehem that the Julie 2, the chargers they are using right now on the Julie 1 are not compatible with the Julie 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this isn't pointing the finger. This is a reality of technology, folks. And I wouldn't be surprised if, every 5 years you get something different, 4, 5, 3, whatever, and that's the way it's going to be. And that's, for me, from an operational perspective, that's going to be a huge nightmare. Which bus goes with which charger, your parking sequence, all that's going to get thrown out the window. Trying to manage this ecosystem, we've talked about that, I believe, the last time. Right now, the employee that's going to manage this system in the future does not exist. Here's the type of employee you're going to need in the future. Someone who understands internet connectivity in the computer world, someone who understands school transportation operations, and someone who understands dealing with high power. That employee does not exist right now. They're in different, singularly they do, but as one, they don't. That's what you're going to need to manage this entire, and I keep using the word ecosystem because that's what it is, in the future. And those are the things you and your folks got to be talking about and working towards. Other questions? All right, you got it, Dan.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Al. I appreciate your presentation. For all of you guys that tuned in late here, we can, it is being recorded and we're going to post it to our YouTube channel. Our ASE program is still going strong. James Florette is studying up on the books. He has them, and he's going to let me know when he's ready to take the ASE certification test. Our next meeting is going to be held on December 13th. Mickey Jones with Capital Region BOCES will be presenting on DEC regulations, and that's going to pertain to our fuel islands, what we need to do. Because a lot of times they'll show up for a inspection and they'll find all kinds of things that we could have easily fixed. We just didn't know that that's what they were looking for, and they change what they're looking for a lot. So she's going to put together a presentation for us, and that's going to be on December 13th. After that one, in January, we'll have Elizabeth Fox. She's the Director of Auxiliary Services at Johnson City School District. She has prior experience to operating an electric fleet, and she's going to go over the issues that she's come across, benefits and negatives of operating an electric fleet. The other thing that we've got before we wrap up here is, I know I brought this up at the last meeting, but George has got a little bit longer with us. And then when he retires, we're going to need a vice president. So pretty much that's once he's gone, it's just Christine, at Leonard, and myself to run this organization. So we definitely need some help. There's not a lot of work. There's help. You know, we're doing it now without anybody, so we can ease somebody in. So please, if you know of somebody, or if you yourself want to help out, you'd like to just give it a try and see what it's all about, I would greatly appreciate it. So does anybody have anything else to add to today's meeting? Yeah, I think as we move forward and as we start buying electric buses, it's important that we all start really talking to each other at this meeting, I hope, and go over what we're up against, what the benefits are, what the downfalls are, different brands. I know we're going to have some more information on electric buses in some of our other meetings coming up. So if nobody has anything else to add to today's meeting, I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. And thanks again, Al. We'll see you guys all later.